Alolan Rattata, introduced in Gen 7, is known for its dark typing and nocturnal nature, giving it a unique edge over its Kanto counterpart. But here's the twist. When retrofitted into Pokemon Red, it loses its dark typing and inherits the exact same moveset as a regular Rattata. So technically, this is just a Rattata run in disguise. Don't let that fool you though. This challenge is anything but ordinary. With fragile base stats and a move pool that barely screams versatility, taking on the entire Kanto region with this little guy is going to be tough. Can an Alolan Rattata, well, sort of, defy the odds and conquer Kanto? Let's find out. Here we have my friend AR, short for Alolan Rattata, making its way through Viridian Forest after delivering the parcel to Professor Oak and taking down our rival Blue on Route 22. To give you a glimpse of just how rough it is to play with Rattata, here's AR struggling against a Weedle. I honestly thought I'd lose this fight, but luckily Weedle decided to spam string shots after hitting me a couple of times with Poison Sting. I kept using Tackle and somehow managed to scrape by. If Weedle had been a bit more aggressive, AR would have fainted for sure. Knowing how weak AR is at this point, I made the decision to grind against wild Pokemon until it reached level 11, because let's face it, if I don't prepare now, it's going to be a disaster later. After healing up at the nearest Pokemon Center, I headed to the Pewter Gym to challenge Brock and earn my first gym badge. This was a tough matchup for me, since normal moves are not effective against rock types, making it a slow and challenging battle. The fight didn't start well. His Geodude kept spamming Defense Curl, and no matter how many times I used Tail Whip and Tackle, I couldn't get its HP below half. Meanwhile, Brock's Geodude kept countering with Tackle, eventually knocking me out. For now, I decided to retreat and reflect on what I need to improve. It became clear that I was under-leveled and my current moves weren't cutting it. Then it suddenly hit me. Rattata learns a strong move at level 14. The move, Hyper Fang, is a normal type attack with a base power of 80 and an accuracy of 90%. Additionally, it has the chance to make opponents flinch, potentially giving me a free turn. It's not a perfect solution, but it's definitely better than my current setup. I trained AR diligently until he reached level 17 for good measure, then decided to take on Brock again. Before attacking, I started by weakening Geodude's defense using Tail Whip. This strategy ensured my attacks would deal more damage. Geodude managed to hit me with a few tackles, but they didn't worry me too much. After 2 Tail Whips, I landed a Hyper Fang that dealt massive damage, with a critical hit boosting it further. Following up with another Hyper Fang, Geodude responded with a Defense Curl. I finished the round with a quick attack before it could deal any more damage. Next up was Onix. As usual, I began by lowering its defense with Tail Whip. Onix used Bide, giving me a couple of free turns to further weaken it. When the turn came for Bide to unleash its stored energy, it missed entirely. This was my opportunity to capitalize on the mistake. I struck it with Hyper Fang, and when Onix attempted to use Screech, it failed. I continued to attack with Hyper Fang, causing it to flinch repeatedly until it finally fainted. I had won the intense battle against Brock and earned my first gym badge. I made my way to Cerulean City, battling trainers and wild Pokemon along the way. By the time I arrived, AR had reached level 27. Before challenging the Cerulean Gym, I decided to battle my rival first to gain some extra experience. Initially, my plan was to weaken his Pokemon before dealing damage. However, I realized that approach might backfire, as I could be knocked out before getting a chance to strike if I am affected too much by Sand Attack. So, I opted for a more aggressive strategy, which is to spam Hyper Fang. The battle started with his Pidgeotto using Quick Attack, but I countered with a Hyper Fang. A critical hit sealed the deal, taking it out in one turn. His Abra and Rattata didn't stand a chance either. They both fell to Hyper Fang in a single move. Then came his Squirtle. I expected to one-shot it as well, but it turned out to be surprisingly tanky. Thankfully, it was left with just a sliver of HP, and I finished it off with a Quick Attack. Before fainting, Squirtle managed to use Tail Whip, which lowered my defense. But you know what that means. Thanks to the badge boost glitch, my attack stat increased a bit instead. I healed up AR before challenging Misty, the second gym leader. Her water-type Pokemon seemed manageable for AR, but her Starmie posed a problem with its higher speed. Adding to the challenge, she sometimes uses X-Defend, which could make securing the second gym badge tricky. The battle began, and I started with Hyper Fang. I hoped to one-shot her first Pokemon, but it survived. On the next turn, I finished it off with Quick Attack, then came Starmie. As I anticipated, Misty used X-Defend right away. I seized the opportunity to deal as much damage as possible, but Starmie proved to be quite tanky. To soften it up, I used Tail Whip, but she countered with Water Gun, dealing massive damage. The damage I had already taken from the previous fight was starting to add up, and I realized I might faint on the next turn. Despite the odds, I pressed on. Starmie used Tackle, leaving me with just 1 HP. I retaliated with Hyper Fang, reducing her HP to about 1/3. This was my moment of hope. If I landed a critical hit with Quick Attack, I could end the fight. With fingers crossed, I used Quick Attack, but luck wasn't on my side. The attack didn't crit, and on her turn, she finished me off with Bubble Beam. To make matters worse, the game gave the critical hit to Starmie. Defeated, I fainted and retreated to rethink my strategy. I felt that my previous run was fine. It was just a lucky break for her, so I decided to run it back without changing anything. This time, Staryu was one-shotted by my Hyper Fang, giving me a strong start without taking any damage. Starmie came out next and started with Tackle, which landed a critical hit. I countered with Hyper Fang, and she followed up with another critical tackle. Okay, Misty, I get it, you're getting lucky. I responded again with Hyper Fang, and this time I had her on the ropes. Starmie was just one quick attack away from fainting, so I used it to end the battle. Starmie fainted, and I won the fight, earning my second gym badge, the Cascade badge. I also received TM11, Bubble Beam, which I taught to AR, replacing Tackle. I decided to do this because all of AR's moves were physical, and I didn't have any special moves. Without them, I would always be outclassed by high defense Pokemon, especially rock and ground types on the way. After my win against Misty, I made my way to Vermilion City, and finally boarded the SS Anne, Then, along the way, I battled various trainers, gaining a massive amount of experience. I didn't bother showing the fights because AR is over-leveled now, and each battle ended in 1 or 2 turns, which would have been boring to watch. As a result of all that grinding, AR is now level 32, strong and ready for another showdown with my rival. The fights were a breeze. My over-leveled AR wrecked them all with Hyper Fang. If any Pokemon had a bit of HP left, I finished them off with Quick Attack. After the battles, I received cut from the captain, healed up at Vermilion's Pokemon Center, and made my way to the gym. Before challenging Lieutenant Surge, I taught AR Dig, which I had obtained in Cerulean City. This would give me a powerful ground-type move to easily take him down. I replaced Quick Attack with Dig, and then proceeded to face Lieutenant Surge. Without hesitation, I used the strongest move in my arsenal, Dig, against his Electric-type Pokemon. As a result, they were all one-shotted. I won the battle without taking any damage, and earned the gym badge, Thunder Badge. After defeating Lieutenant Surge, I made my way to Celadon City to challenge Erika, the 4th gym leader. Along the way, I battled trainers on Route 9 through Rock Tunnel and on Route 7 to level up AR, bringing him to level 38. During this time, AR also learned Super Fang, a normal type move that deals damage equal to half of the target's current HP, rounded down but not less than 1 HP. This move is especially powerful as it effectively halves the opponent's HP on the first turn and ignores type immunities, making it very useful for AR as a normal type Pokemon. Before the 4th generation, Rattata was the only Pokemon that could learn this move. Now strong and ready, I went ahead and challenged Erika. I used Dig on all of Erika's Pokemon except for Tangela, as ground type moves are strong against poison types but not grass types. For Tangela, I opted for Super Fang instead, since it's a pure grass type. The battle nearly turned in Villaplume's favor due to its powerful Petal Dance, which dealt massive damage. Fortunately, my Dig landed a critical hit and dealt massive damage thanks to its effectiveness. I barely managed to win the fight, surviving with just 3 HP left. With that, I earned my 4th gym badge. After defeating Erika, I headed back to Lavender Town for a rematch with Blue in Lavender Tower. The battle started strong. Super Fang shredded his Pidgeotto, but Sand Attack quickly lowered my accuracy, while the Badge Boost Glitch perks boosted my attack and defense. I used Bubble Beam to obliterate his Growlithe, but then Execute became my downfall. Its Hypnosis put AR to sleep, and Barrage chipped away at my HP until I fainted. My 2nd and 3rd attempts ended similarly, with missed attacks and critical hits from Pidgeotto, leaving me with low HP. Despite trying different strategies, I fainted both times, unable to overcome Execute's status moves and damage. Finally, on my 4th attempt, I broke the curse. Pidgeotto skipped Sand Attack, and I started with Tail Whip on Execute to weaken it. I tanked Barrage and spammed Dig for the rest of Blue's team. Wartortle nearly knocked me out, but I survived with 1 HP for an epic victory. After healing, I cleared Lavender Tower and headed for Fuchsia City to face Koga. What a roller coaster. After defeating the trainers along the way and his gym members, I leveled up to level 40 and finally faced Koga. Ground moves are super effective against poison types, so I kept using Dig. During the fight against Muk, I was hit by poison gas and became poisoned. This was dangerous since I had only half HP, so I needed to end the fight quickly. Unfortunately, I fainted before I could finish his coughing. If I hadn't been poisoned, I would have finished the fight on the next turn. Unlucky, but it is what it is. I gave it another shot with the same strategy. Just keep digging. Oops, Muk one-shotted me, so I guess I'll have to come back again. I'm back again, sticking to my strategy of digging. I made quick work of his coughings, but Muk was a problem. Luckily, Koga made some questionable moves, like using X attack and minimize. As a result, I took down Muk without taking a single hit. Next up, his last Pokemon, Weezing. The level disparity could have been an issue, but I pushed through. I started with Dig, and just like something out of a movie, Weezing used self-destruct while I was underground. I took him out without even landing a hit, which felt like an achievement in itself. I defeated Koga with most of my HP intact, and earned my 5th gym badge, the Soul Badge. After defeating Koga, I headed to Cinnabar Island to grind and picked up some HMs that will come in handy later in the run. After getting the secret key, I entered the Pokemon gym, took down the gym members, and then faced Blaine, the 7th gym leader. I was feeling confident going into the fight since I had Bubble Beam and Dig, both strong against Fire-type Pokemon. I started the fight with Dig, one-shotting Growlithe. I got Leered before it fainted, which raised my attack and speed, but lowered my defense. I took down Ponyta with another Dig. Before attacking Rapidash, I used Tail Whip to soften it up. Fortunately, it didn't attack and instead used a Super Potion. Questionable, but I'll take it. The next turn, I one-shotted Rapidash with Dig. Now it was time to face Arcanine. I felt confident as I was in good shape for the battle. Like before, I used Tail Whip to soften it up. Arcanine responded with another Super Potion, and I punished it with Dig the next turn. Then it used Fire Blast, which was so powerful that it one-shotted me. I considered using Bubble Beam, thinking it might increase my chances. However, it turned out to be ineffective. Despite being super effective, it only deals 65 base power, while Dig has a much stronger 100 base power. There's no debate, Dig is definitely the best move to keep using, because the defense and special of Blaine is roughly the same. I kept getting eliminated by Arcanine, which meant I was underleveled. So I focused on leveling up AR in the Pokemon Mansion by battling wild Pokemon. Now he's level 49, and I was hoping that would be enough. Apparently, it wasn't. I still kept getting one-shotted by Arcanine. If not by Arcanine, I was trapped by Rapidash's Fire Spin and slowly melted away. Looks like this is going to be a long ride. I tried taking on Blaine again, and surprise, Rapidash's Fire Spin trapped me like always. And so I tried again, and after way too many tries and some lucky breaks, I finally took him down. My strategy, spam Dig on all his Pokemon except Arcanine. When I finally faced Blaine's last Pokemon, Arcanine, I led with Hyper Fang, cutting its HP in half. The whole time, I was praying it wouldn't use Takedown or Fire Blast. Either one would have been a one-hit KO. After weakening it, I used Tail Whip to drop its defense, setting up for a stronger dig. Luckily, Arcanine mostly stuck to using Roar and the occasional Ember, giving me a chance to keep attacking. Even when Blaine tried stalling with a Super Potion, I stayed on the offensive with Dig until Arcanine finally went down. With that, I defeated Blaine and earned the Volcano Badge. After defeating Blaine, I headed to Saffron City to take on Silphco. I explored the building thoroughly, picking up valuable items and resources to aid my journey. Along the way, I wiped out Team Rocket's goons, which gave my trusty AR some solid leveling. After a quick heal at the 9th floor, I made my way to the 7th floor, ready to face my rival, Blue, once again. I led the battle with Super Fang against Pidgeot, cutting its HP, but it retaliated with Sand Attack, lowering my accuracy while boosting some of its stats. Despite the accuracy drop, I kept spamming Bubble Beam until Pidgeot was finally knocked out, though I took a fair amount of damage in the process. Next up was Growlithe, and things started to fall apart. The lingering effects of Sand Attack from Pidgeot caused me to miss repeatedly, making this fight an uphill battle. I knew this was coming, just like our last encounter, and it was again the main reason for my downfall. Realizing I'd struggle against flying and dragon types later on, I decided to teach Blizzard to my AR using the TM I picked up in Cinnabar Mansion. To make room, I replaced Bubble Beam with it. With this upgrade, I went back to face Blue for a rematch, ready to turn things around. In my rematch with Blue, his Pidgeot proved tanky, surviving 2 blizzards before fainting. Next up was Growlithe, which I swiftly took out with Dig, followed by Execute, which crumbled to a single blizzard. So far so good. Then came Alakazam. I opened with Blizzard, but it healed itself with Recover. Wanting to conserve Blizzard's PP, I switched to Dig, which is definitively the best idea if you look at the special stat of the opposing Pokemon, dealing massive damage, but I got countered by his confusion. Thankfully, I managed to tank it and finished Alakazam with another Dig. Now it was down to his last Pokemon, Blastoise. This was tricky since I only had 38 HP left. I started with Tail Whip to soften its defense, but it hit back with Water Gun, leaving me with just 7 HP. At this point, I was one hit away from fainting. Refusing to give up, I used Dig, landing solid damage. Luckily, Blastoise chose to use Withdraw, giving me an opening. I followed with Super Fang, and to my surprise, it used Withdraw again. Was this the comeback of the century? On the next turn, I used Dig to deal more damage. Then really, using Potion at this point in the game, Blue made a mistake by using Potion, and so I punished this move with another Dig, finally taking Blastoise down, with just an epic comeback, and defeated my rival. My next opponent was a Team Rocket Grunt, and I made quick work of him without much trouble. Without healing my Pokemon, I decided to take on Giovanni, Team Rocket's leader, just to test the waters. I did well against his Nidorino, but his Kangaskhan proved too much and wiped me out. No big deal, this was just a test run. Next time, I'll come back fully healed and ready to take him down for real. With a full health team, I went back to face Giovanni. Both his Nidorino and Kangaskhan fell to my Dig strategy. For Kangaskhan, I used Tail Whip first to lower its defense, since it's naturally tanky, making my attacks more effective. Next, I one-shotted his Rhyhorn with Blizzard and then focused on Nidoqueen, which took 2 digs to bring down. I took some damage during the fight, but nothing serious. With Giovanni defeated, I successfully saved Silphco. Now it's time for the 6th gym leader, Sabrina. After a quick stop at the nearest Pokemon Center to heal up, I headed straight to her gym, ready for the challenge. After navigating the teleporter maze, I finally reached Sabrina. Most of her Pokemon were a breeze. Dig took care of the majority, while Venomoth required a mix of Blizzard and Dig to take down. Then came her ace, Alakazam, which was a nightmare. It outspeeds me, and its Psy Beam one-shot my Pokemon. Before I could even get an attack in, I realized I needed a new plan to deal with her Alakazam. It's not going down easily. Time to strategize. After several attempts, I finally figured out a strategy for Alakazam. It started with Psy Wave, which dealt decent damage. I used Dig, and based on my past attempts, I expected it to survive, but this time I got lucky and landed a critical hit, knocking it out in one shot. With Sabrina out of Pokemon, I took the win with just 30 health points left. That was a close call, but it was mostly luck that turned the tide. But with a Rattata run, you will need whatever comes to you. I earned the Marsh badge, and now there's only 1 badge left to collect. Here's hoping the luck keeps up. I made my way to Viridian City and fought through all the gym trainers before finally facing Giovanni, the last gym leader. I led with Blizzard, one-shotting his Rhyhorn. Next up was Dugtrio, and I didn't have any super effective moves, so I went with Dig. Unfortunately, Dugtrio also used Dig, which put me in a bad spot since I'd pop out first next turn. Sure enough, I took massive damage. Giovanni followed up with Growl, lowering my attack but raising my other stats. I countered with Dig, and Dugtrio went down. Then came Nidoqueen, and things were looking grim. I only had 4 HP left, and I knew I was just 1 attack away from fainting. I kept using Dig, but Nidoqueen hit me with Scratch, bringing me even closer to the edge. It was a tough battle, but I managed to hang in there, determined to keep going. Still winnable. I went for a rematch against Giovanni, this time starting with a fully healed team. However, Dugtrio's accuracy-lowering Sand Attack quickly turned things against me. My first Super Fang missed, setting the tone for what was to come. Nidoqueen followed up with Tail Whip, lowering my defense, while buffing other stats. I tried to recover with Dig, but it missed as well, and I got punished with a Body Slam from Nidoqueen. At that point, I knew the battle was over. Once Sand Attack landed, the odds were stacked against me. I need a better strategy to counter Dugtrio's moves and avoid getting locked into this pattern. Every now and then, I get a bit lucky in this battle. Even after taking a Sand Attack, I've managed to take down Nidoqueen a few times. Unfortunately, that victory is short-lived because Nidoking has always been the wall I can't quite break through. I got close once, but just as I was about to finish him off, he hit me with a poison sting, taking me out before I could land the final blow. This fight has been tough, and I haven't even seen Giovanni's last Pokemon yet. Close, but no cigar. Time to rethink my approach. After several grueling attempts, I finally defeated Giovanni and earned my Earth Badge. Here's how I got it. The fight began with his Rhyhorn, and I opened with Blizzard, expecting a one-hit KO, but it wasn't enough, so I finished it off with Dig. Next came Dugtrio, and I used Blizzard again, hoping to avoid a sand attack. Luck was on my side. He missed. He opened with Growl, lowering my attack, but raising my other stats, and I finished him with another Blizzard. With my accuracy still intact, Nidoqueen came out. I started with Super Fang, cutting its HP in half, and it used Guard Spec. I followed up with Dig, and while it countered with Tail Whip, I managed to finish it off with another Dig. Finally, progress. Now came Nidoking, and things got tense. My first Super Fang missed, but thankfully, so did his attack. On the next turn, Super Fang landed, halving his HP, but he countered with a devastating Horn attack. I had to end the fight quickly, so I used Blizzard, which did the job. Finally, Giovanni's last Pokemon, Rhydon, stood before me. With only 1 PP left on Blizzard, I took the shot, but it missed. Fortunately, he used Tail Whip, sparing me. Any attack moves, and I'll be out. Out of Blizzard, I relied on Super Fang, whittling him down turn by turn. Each hit brought me closer to defeat, but Rhydon kept using Tail Whip. In a final gamble, I used Dig, and Rhydon fainted. I won the battle by the skin of my teeth. It felt like a fluke, but a win's a win, and I'm not complaining. Now I have all 8 badges. Next stop, the Pokemon League. After the gym battle, I healed up at the nearest Pokemon Center to prepare for my other match with Blue. The battle started with Pidgeot, who struck first with Quick Attack, bringing my HP down. I countered with Blizzard, leaving both of us at half HP. He used Quick Attack again, but I finished him off with another Blizzard. With only 30 HP left, I knew I had to tread carefully. There were still 5 Pokemon left. Next was Rhyhorn, and I opened with Super Fang. He countered with Tail Whip, but I ended the fight quickly with Blizzard, taking him out. Then came Growlithe, and I used Dig to secure a one-hit KO. 3 Pokemon left, and things were looking good so far. Exeggcute came out next, and I started with Super Fang. Unfortunately, it countered with Poison Powder. Now I was on a timer, and had to finish fast. I tried Blizzard, but it missed, giving Exeggcute the chance to hit me with Leech Seed. The combination of poison and leeching damage every turn spelled trouble. Although I eventually managed to finish the fight with Blizzard, my HP had dropped to just 24. Then came Alakazam, and this was where things got even harder. I had no Blizzard PP left, so I resorted to Dig. While I landed a hit, the damage wasn't enough to take him out. He retaliated with devastating power, and I was knocked out. I waited out. Time to rethink my strategy and come back stronger. It was clear I was under-leveled for this fight, so I trained AR up to level 72. This time, I wasn't leaving anything to chance. I was going to secure this win. I started the battle with Super Fang on Pidgeot, followed by Blizzard to finish it off. However, Pidgeot managed to land a hit during the exchange, leaving me with just 49 HP. Not a great start. I moved on to Rhyhorn and Growlithe, taking them both out with one-hit KOs from Blizzard. Then came Exeggcute, and I opened with Blizzard, but it missed. This allowed Exeggcute to hit me with Leech Seed, putting me on a timer again. I quickly used Blizzard to eliminate it, but the damage had been done. Finally, it was Alakazam's turn. He struck first with Psybeam, and that was it for me. Eliminated before I could even get a move in. I realized I'd been experimenting too much and should have gone all in with Blizzard from the start. Lesson learned, time to refine my approach and take another shot. It took me countless attempts, determined to get it right. I ran it back with a refined strategy. I started with Blizzard, taking out Pidgeot, Rhyhorn, and Exeggcute in one hit each. For Growlithe, I used Dig, another one-hit KO, 4 Pokemon down, and things were looking great. Then came Alakazam. I used Dig, and he countered with Psybeam, dropping my HP to 67. On the next turn, my Dig landed a critical hit, eliminating him. That left just 1 Pokemon, Blastoise. I opened with Dig, landing another critical hit, and having Blastoise's HP. He used Withdraw, giving me an opportunity to press the attack. I went for Blizzard, hoping it would seal the deal, but it left Blastoise barely hanging on. He responded with Hydro Pump, but it missed. I capitalized on this with another Dig, and that was it. Blastoise fainted, and I defeated Blue once again. It took me many tries to finally secure this victory, but it was worth it. After healing up at the Pokemon Center, I made my way through Victory Road, solving puzzles and battling trainers. I spent some time grinding, pushing AR to level 77. With this overleveled boost, I'm expecting at least a solid fight against the Elite Four. Not a total stomp, but definitely not a struggle fest either. Here's hoping AR can hold its own without turning this into a drawn-out grind. Time to see if the effort pays off. I reached Indigo Plateau, and the Elite Four awaits. First up in the Elite Four was Lorelei and her ice water Pokemons. The battle didn't start off great. It took multiple digs and blizzards to finally take down Dugong, leaving my HP halved before even getting to her second Pokemon. Next was Cloyster, and things went downhill fast. My Super Fang missed, and I got caught in an endless cycle of Clamp with no chance to break free. I eventually whited out. This is definitely going to be a challenge. Time to rethink my approach. I kept some rare candies that I collected during the adventure for this case scenario, and after training AR to level 85, I ran it back against Lorelei, and this time the plan worked. My strategy was simple: Super Fang to halve their HP, then Dig to finish them off. I brute forced my way through most of her team using just those 2 moves. Jinx, however, was a different story with her different typing compared to Lorelei's other Pokemon. I relied solely on Dig to take her down quickly. After finally defeating Lorelei, I healed up and prepared for the next challenge. Bruno, I kept the momentum going. Taking on Bruno felt like sending a moth straight into the flames. With his team of fighting Pokemon, it was the perfect counter to my Alolan Rattata. And guess what type AR is? Normal. Yep, a matchup that screams bad news. I could already feel this was going to be a short and brutal battle. Let's see if my overleveled AR could pull off a miracle or if I'd be heading back to the Pokemon Center. First attempt against Bruno started off strong. I one-shotted his Onix with Blizzard, but then came Hitmonchan and things spiraled quickly. I led with Dig, but he countered with Mega Punch, dealing massive damage. My second Dig left him barely standing, and he retaliated with Thunder Punch, adding insult to injury by paralyzing AR. Before I could land another hit, he finished me off with Ice Punch. Just like that, I whited out. Back to the drawing board. I'm back to grinding again and got AR up to level 87. Let's see if this extra power turns the tide. I realized my lack of progress was because of my limited moveset, so I taught AR Thunderbolt, replacing Super Fang. This turned out to be a solid upgrade. Against Lorelei, I spammed Thunderbolt to sweep most of her team, although I still struggled with Jinx. On the next attempt, I switched strategies, starting with Tail Whip to lower Jinx's defense, then finishing with Dig. It worked. I nearly fainted against Lapras, but luck was on my side when its Hydro Pump missed. I closed the battle with a decisive Thunderbolt and moved on to Bruno. I used Blizzard on Onix and I enjoyed a clean one-shot win. Next up was Hitmonchan, and I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should open with Tail Whip or go straight for damage. But since R is overleveled, I decided to go all in. Dig was enough to eliminate Hitmonchan in one move. For Hitmonlee, I used the same plan, but it hung on with just one health point. No big deal though. I finished it off with Thunderbolt on the next turn. Another Onix came out, but it didn't stand a chance. Just one Blizzard, and it was gone in a shot. Right now, the Bolt Beam strat is proving effective. Now it was down to his ace, Machamp. This battle could go either way, depending on my first move, so I chose to strike first with Thunderbolt to deal massive damage. Lucky me, Machamp responded with Leer, lowering my defense, but boosting my other stats. Seizing the opportunity, I ended the fight with a critical Thunderbolt to secure the win. Bruno is defeated. 2 Elite Four members down, 3 more to go. Next up was Agatha, the master of ghost poison types. I relied heavily on Dig to handle her Pokemon, causing significant damage and eliminating most of her team with ease. For Golbat, I switched to Blizzard, knowing it's strong against flying types, and it was an instant KO. Surprisingly, I made it through the entire battle without taking a single hit. This run is looking promising. I can feel it. With Agatha defeated, that's 3 down and only 2 more to go. After a quick heal, I prepared to face Lance, the Dragon Master. It's time to bring everything I've got. Fighting Lance turned out to be light work thanks to my moveset. Thunderbolt and Blizzard gave me a clear advantage, being super effective against most of his team. I used Thunderbolt to one-shot both Gyarados and Aerodactyl, while Blizzard took care of his Dragonair and Dragonite with ease. Although I took some damage from Dragonair, it wasn't enough to worry me. By the end of the battle, I still had half my HP left. With Lance defeated, only one challenge remained. Blue. I healed up using items, fully prepared for the final showdown. The fight against Blue started strong. I opened with Thunderbolt, leaving his Pidgeot barely hanging on. He responded with Mirror Move, but luckily, it wasn't too strong. I finished the job on the next turn, and out came his Alakazam. I used Dig, dealing massive damage, but things took a turn when Alakazam countered with Psychic. Unfortunately, it landed a critical hit, and I whited out. Back to the drawing board. Still, I'm confident AR has what it takes to win this battle, and finally clear Kanto. Reaching Blue proved to be a challenge, as Lorelei's Lapras kept halting my progress. In my last attempt, I got lucky enough to defeat her, but I knew I couldn't keep relying on luck. I decided to take no chances, grinding AR up to level 90, before challenging the Elite Four again. This time, I'm determined to clear them and finally face Blue. In another face-off with Lorelei, with pure skill this time, I spammed Thunderbolt through her Pokemon until I reached Jinx, where I switched to Dig since it does more damage given Jinx's typing. Next up was Lapras. I opened with Thunderbolt, dealing massive damage. Lapras responded with Hydro Pump, leaving me with just 28 HP. Close call, but I powered through and finished it off with another Thunderbolt. Lapras fainted, and I finally beat Lorelei. Nothing special happened during my rematches with Bruno and Agatha. Their Pokemon were easily one-shotted, just like in my last successful run. The same story played out with Lance's Pokemon. Blizzard and Thunderbolt wiped them out in one hit. Now it's time to face Blue again, but this time, with leveled up AR, I'm ready to take him on. I started with Thunderbolt, and it looked like Blue was preparing for a Solar Beam, but I knocked him out before he could use it. Then it was Alakazam. This is where my run ended last time, so I was extra careful. I used Dig, and thankfully I got a one-shot, taking him down. Next up was Raiden. Blizzard did the trick, and he was out in one hit. With only 2 Pokemon left, Blue sent out Arcanine. I used Dig to deal massive damage, and after his full restore, I dug again, leaving him with 1 HP. He used Ember, and luckily for me, it wasn't a stronger move, or I would have fainted. I finished him off with Thunderbolt. 2 Pokemon left. Exeggutor came out, and I opened with Blizzard. He responded with Stomp, leaving me with just 1 CS HP. It was a close call, but Blizzard didn't miss, and Exeggutor went down. Now, it was just his starter, Blastoise. I used Thunderbolt, dealing massive damage, and he bit back with a critical hit. No, I couldn't believe it. Just 1 crit, and my run was over. Man, I'm so unlucky. I was so close. Guess luck wasn't on my side. Time to go back to square one. It seemed like my luck had finally run out. I breezed through the Elite Four and reached Blue again, confident this time would be different. I made quick work of his Pokemon, but when I got to his Exeggutor, the bad luck hit. I used Blizzard, dealing massive damage, but he retaliated with Hypnosis. Thankfully it missed. The next turn I used Blizzard again, expecting to end the fight, but it missed. Blue's Exeggutor took the opportunity to hit me with Barrage. Frustratingly, I tried again, but it missed once more, and he responded with Stomp, dealing good damage. At this point, with Blizzard having no PP left, I had no choice but to use Tail Whip to lower Exeggutor's defense before I attacked, but then Exeggutor Exeggutor used Hypnosis, and I was put to sleep. How unlucky can this be? I stayed asleep for several turns, taking hits from Exeggutor, and before I could wake up, I fainted. Turns out, my luck had indeed run out. Back to the drawing board. When I could try the battle again, it played out the same for the rest of Blue's Pokemon. Then I faced Exeggutor. I used Blizzard, dealing massive damage, and he responded with Hypnosis. I've been here before, and I wasn't a fan of the ending last time. He kept using Barrage, dealing small but accumulating damage. My HP dropped to just 53. Thankfully, sleep didn't last long, and I managed to finish Exeggutor off without taking any more hits. Now only Blastoise remained. I used Thunderbolt, dealing massive damage, and he responded with Mega Drain. I was just as shocked as you to see that, and it is definitively a bug. This move is usually used by Venusaur, and I guess when I modified the game to use an Alolan Rattata, something wrong happened. It is funny, and Blastoise still could have used Hydro Pump, but chose not to, so it barely did anything. This was it. I used Thunderbolt again, eliminating Blastoise, and finally, I defeated him. I had dethroned Blue and became the league champion using only AR. After a long and arduous journey, I finally proved that it's possible to beat Pokemon Red and Blue using only an Alolan Rattata, or rather, just a Rattata in this case. Overall, it was a challenging run. I found that being overleveled was key to surviving many of the battles. There were times I had trouble with fights that should have been easy, especially when my accuracy was reduced. Giovanni's Dugtrio, for instance, was a real pain to deal with once my accuracy dropped, making it tough to land effective hits. I kept running into problems against Blaine, Sabrina, and Giovanni because I was often underleveled, and sometimes battles were decided by luck. On more than one occasion, I was left with low HP, and my opponents didn't use their most damaging moves, giving me the chance to capitalize and win. Though it was a long uphill climb, I had fun with it. I had to rely more on strategy and planning than I usually do in a typical playthrough, and that made the victory all the more rewarding. Thanks for sticking with me through this challenge. Did you think it would be that difficult with this Pokemon? Drop a comment and let me know what Pokemon I should use next to conquer Pokemon Red and Blue. Au revoir.